Hello everyone, today we're learning mציעא, Daf Hayomi. We're starting the beginning of Perek Asoicher Se'umnim. Says a Mishnah Daf Hayomi Amud Beis. Asoicher Se'umnim, someone who rented workers, V'itu zeh zeh, and they tricked each other. We're going to see in the Gemara what's exactly the case. Ein lohem zeh al zeh ela taroimis. They don't have any money claims one to each other, only taroimis. They could be upset with each other. Socha is a chamor is a kado, someone who agreed with a guy who has a donkey, or a kado is a guy who has a chariot at the back of the donkey. Balkoron, Rashi says, la'avi preifurim v'chalilim. So preifurim are these long sticks that you make out of it like a type of chuppah, piryon. Chalilim are flutes that you play music with. Lakala, to make the kala happy, or lemeis, when you do it for the mace, you used to do it those days with music. Upoyalim are workers, la'alois bishtonoi min hamishra, to bring up his flax from the water that's soaking in. V'chol dovar she'oved, anything that if it doesn't happen now, it gets ruined. The flax is going to get ruined. The chuppah is now, or the levaya or the shiva is now, and you need it right now. V'chol zubrahim, and the workers said, we're not doing the work. So it depends. Mokom she'in shom odom, if there's no one else to employ to do the work, he pays someone else to do the work for much more expensive, and then they need to pay the extra, the ones who cancelled. Or he tricks them, and the Gemara explains that he offers them more money, and at the end he only pays them how much he agreed with. Continue the Mishnah. Someone rented a professional person, and they changed, and they were choizer from what they agreed. So Rashi explains that it's talking about where he agreed with someone for a job, not per hour, for the job. You do the job, you get £100. And they change your mind. So if, let's say, they did half the job, and now the workers to finish the job went up in price and it cost £75, so they only get £25. And if the price went down and workers only £25 to finish a job, you only pay them £50 like you agreed with them. They're always on the underside of the deal. In balabais choizer boy, if the balabais changes mind, yodo yala tachtoina, he's yodo yala tachtoina. If price went up with workers, he still pays them for half the work, and if the price went down, he pays them the full amount except of the lower price he has to pay the workers to finish the work. Continue the Mishnah. Kola meshana yodo la tachtoina. Someone, the Mishnah says another case. Rashi explains the case is that if he gave, let's say, wool to the painter to paint it red and he painted black, so if the benefit is more than the investment of the paint and the materials, he only pays the materials, and if the benefit is less than the materials, he only pays the benefit. Rashi says that the Gemara is going to explain why this is coming to include. It's just repeating itself. Said the Gemara, it doesn't say in the first case of the Mishnah, it says someone rented the umnim, it doesn't say chozru that they cancelled the work. If itu, says the Mishnah, the Gemara, the atu poyalim adodi, it's mashma that if it would be a discussion between the landlord, the one who's renting them, the boss and the employees, it would say chozru, but because it says itu there's mashma that the poyalim tricked each other. So the Gemara, eichidomi, what's the case? The balabais told one worker, zil oigerli poyalim, go get me workers. Vazel you, and went this messenger who's also the work of a balabais, fatinu, and he tricked them. So the Gemara, eichidomi, idomali balabais barbo, the balabais said, go get me workers and I'll pay them 4 zuz a day. Vazel you, omar the beklosa, and then he went and he told the workers, the balabais is willing to pay you 3 zuz a day. He put down the price. So the Gemara, taroimis ma'avidete, it said in the Mishnah that you have taroimis, you could be upset. Why is it to be upset about? Sava v'kibel, you accepted to work for 3, do your job, what are you complaining about? Idom ale balabais betlosa, if the boss said to the worker, go get me workers and I'll pay them 3 zuz a day, v'ozil you, and went the worker to the other workers, Amalu Baba, and he said the balabais said the boss is going to pay you 4. So the Gemara, ichidomi, what's the case? Idom alu schorchem alai, if he said to the workers, this worker told the other workers, I'm in charge of paying you, he should pay 4. He should pay the extra one that he promised them. The Tanya we learned. If I get a worker and I tell him, come work in my field, and I show him my friend's field, and he doesn't know that it's my friend's field, I have to pay him because I agreed with him for doing the work to pay him. I have to pay him fully. And then I could go to the friend that I made him work in their field and tell him he has to pay me what I benefited him. But I have a responsibility to this poelim because I committed. So if the poel, the messenger, agreed on 4, he has to pay the extra 1 from his own pocket. Says the Gemara, I'll tell you what the case that we needed. He didn't agree with them exactly the price. He said that the balabais said 3, and the worker, the messenger, said 4 to the poelim. And he said, the one who's going to pay you is balabais, not me. And the balabais only agreed 3. He promised them 4, but he never said he's going to pay. So let's see how much workers get paid. If they get paid 3, so what's the problem? Even though that he said 4, but that's the price of poelim. And if they get paid 4, they should really have to get paid 4 because they did work. Wherefore? So the Gemara loitricha the ika the magar barba the ika the misgar matgar b'shloisha. Some workers work for 4 and some workers work for 3 zuz a day. The Amrlei, the workers say, ilav the Amrslon barba. If not, you'd promise us 4. Tarchinan would work. Mesgarin and barba would find an employee who'd pay us 4. We would never come to work for this balabais who's cheap, who's paying the lower value, and therefore they have what to be upset about. But they don't get more than 3 because the balabais only committed 3, and that's the price of the poelim on the lower range. And he promised that the balabais is going to pay. He wasn't mischayev to pay them. So that's one case of the Mishnah of poelim itu zeh. Said the Gemara, another way of understanding the Mishnah. And it's talking about that the boss sent his worker to rent other workers, but these other workers, they have their own fields and they have work to do for themselves. They're only willing to work for any other person if they get really high payment, above average market payment. So and the Omrulei, they tell the worker who rented them, he loved Amraslan Barba. If you wouldn't tell us Barba, you told us Barba, but the Balabais is going to pay you, and the Balabais only promised 3, so now we're only getting 3. And so they tell him, if you wouldn't tell us before, Avazila ben Milsa Lasguri wouldn't be worth it for us to work for someone for 3. That's the normal going rate. For that, I prefer working in my own field. I was willing to go because you offered us a high rate, and now we're not getting paid that. We're upset with you. Another way of understanding the Mishnah, it's someone that the workers are just normal workers who work for other people. But the reason is, since you told us 4, we know the rate is 3, but we did extra hard work because we know we're getting extra pay, so we did more work, and now we're not getting extra pay. We worked very hard. Let's have a look at their work. If they did extra work, they should get paid more. They were digging a trench. Go look at the trench. Was it done very good and strong and the best way that they should get paid more than a normal boil? The trench is full of water, and therefore there's no way to see if the job that they did was better than average or not. And we can't see. A 4th way of understanding the Mishnah, the boss told the worker, go get me workers for 4. And he went and he told the workers, the balabais is willing to pay 3. You asked on that, they're willing to pay to get 3, and they agreed on it. What haramis do they have? Why is that to be upset about? So the Gemara, the Amrulei, the workers tell the worker was a messenger of the Balabait. Leslech, do you not have the posuk in Mishlei that it says, Al timna toiv mi balov? Don't, if someone deserves to get good, don't stop it from him. So here the Balabais was willing to pay 4. Why do you go and offer us only 3? What do you care if Balabais pays us the higher wage? That's very not nice of you, and therefore we're upset with you. We have taroimus on you. So we have a few ways of understanding the ratio of the Mishnah of Asoichus Umnim Be'itu Zeh, and it doesn't say V'chozur Zeh. Said more weiter. Pshita, it's obvious that Iomali Balabais Bitlosa. The Balabais, the boss, told worker number one that he get workers for 3 v'ozel iu, and he went Omaler Brabo. He told the workers the Balabais is willing to pay 4 extra 1 v'amule, and the workers answered him back, Moshe Omar Balabais, whatever Balabais said. So datayu ailua. For sure, they mean when they mean to say whatever Balabai said, they don't mean to say whatever Balabai said, and if he said less, we're willing to take less. It means to say if Balabai said more, we want to get more, or we believe either what Balabai said, but it doesn't mean they're willing to get less, and therefore they'll have taroimus on this person that they're only getting 3. Elo iomali Balabais barbo. If the boss told the worker, "Get me workers for 4," v'ozali iomar betlosa, and he told the workers, the Balabais is paying you 3 for Amri, and they said, Kamoshama Balabais, whatever Balabais said, Mai. What's the din in that case? Adibur Dideko Samchi? Or the Soimech on the person, the messengers, Dibur, the Amri that they said, when they said that Kamoshama Balabais, they mean to say, the Amri Me'emnoslon, we believe you, Dochama Balabais, we believe that this is what Balabais said, and since they agreed for 3, they'll only get 3 and not a penny more. Or maybe when they said Kimoshama Balabais, what it means to say Adibur or the Balabais Kosamchi. They mean to say that if Balabais said more, we want what Balabais said, and therefore Balabais said more in this case. He said 4, so they should get 4. So what's the din in such a case? Said the Gemara, before we're going to start this Gemara, I'm just going to say that there's 2 dinei shlichus by Gittin. A man could send a messenger, a shliach, to Mimgarish his wife, and the wife will be divorced only when the get gets to her hand. That's case number 1. Case number 2 is that the woman sends a shliach to accept the get. She sends a shliach that says, go to my husband and accept the get from him as if it's me, and straight away when the husband gives the shliach of the woman this get, the woman becomes Migureshes. Says the Gemara Toshma, Oveligiti, a woman tells a shliach, please go to the husband and tell him that you're willing to be a shliach to bring a get to me. But the shliach goes to the husband and tells him that his wife said, Iskabeligiti, that you want that I should be a shliach lekabbalah, that once you give me a get, it should be chal now. And the Baal tells the shliach, take it as she said. Omar Nachman, Omar Rav, what's the din in such a case? I feel you get liodo. Even if the shliach went and took this get and gave the get to her hand, she's not Migureshes. Shmas Mino, what do we see from here? When the man said, he means, I trust you that that's what she said. And what did he say? And so therefore he meant to give a shliach Kabbalah. And the woman never sent a shliach for shliach Kabbalah, so therefore that doesn't work. And when it gets to her, also doesn't work because the Baal never sent a shliach lo ilocha. So therefore, there's no get even when it comes to a hand. If when a man says, it means I trust what she says and I'm going with her words, what did she say? She said she wants that the husband should be mimane him as a shliach lo ilocha. So michimoti get liodo, when the get comes to her hand, miotigarish l'chor, she should be migureshes, because he said like what she said, and she said that this should be a shliach lo ilocha, so let it be a shliach lo ilocha, and when the get gets to her hand, it should be migureshes. Why not? Elomai, we could see that when a person says, it means I trust you, that's what she said. And therefore, it's not get, because we don't have a shliach, there was no shliach lekabbalah. So in our case, when the Poyanim said, we trust you that Kimoshama Balabais, it means to say, we trust you that this is what Balabais said. It doesn't mean that if Balabais said more, we want more. Omar Avashi, Hochi Hashto. No, this is how you put it. There's no connection between these 2 cases. If we would say in this case the opposite, that is Skabeligiti, that the woman told the shliach, I want you to accept the get from my husband, and straight away when you accept it, you'll be my shliach and I'll be Migureshes. And he comes to the husband and he tells him, that your wife said, Hoveligiti, send me as a messenger. And the Baal says, take it as she said. And on that Rav Nachman said, that what? In the name of Rav, that what? That she's only Migureshes when it comes, she's Migureshes straight away when the shliach comes to the when the get comes to the shliach, Alma, what would we see? That that he trusts on what she said, and she said to make him a shliach lekabbalah. So therefore, straight away she's megreshes. Inami, more so if Rav Nachman would say, in the name of Rav, that means she get lioda megreshes, that the get will be chal only when it comes to her. Alma that they trust the shliach's words, and the shliach said that he's a shliach lo hoilocha. So therefore it's only a get when it comes to her. So we'd bring Aryeh this way, depends on what Rav would paskin. Elo Hossam, in the case of Amud Aleph, really it could be that he's soymech on the words of the woman. But the reason why it's not get, even when it comes to the woman's hands, mishum da'oka shliach leshlichus legamrei, that the shliach cancels his whole shlichus. Doma shliach lekabbalah avino lo ilocho le'avina. Because what happened? The shliach said that the woman said, "Send me to a shliach lekabbalah." That meaning, when she says that, he's saying, "I'm not willing to be a shliach lo ilocho." So even if when the husband said, "Do it like what she said," and she said shliach lo ilocho, but the shliach's not willing to do it, and if the shliach's not mekabel on himself the shlichus, even though afterwards he goes and gives the shlichus, but since he wasn't mekabel on himself the shlichus, it's not shlichus, and therefore there's no get. But really, it could be that he's soymich on the words of the woman. Just the shliach is the one who cancels it, so we don't have no raya to our case. Says the Gemara. Another teretz, we're going back to the first kasha on the Mishnah. The first kasha was, or first shaila on the Mishnah was, it says, it doesn't say chozur that's mashma that the poyalim tricked each other, and we had a bunch of cases. What's the case? Now we have a whole new teretz. Our Mishnah chozur nami itu korelei. Even when the person, it's not talking about where the workers tricked each other, it's talking about that the boss or the employee tricked each other, stopped, cancelled the work that they agreed on. And even though that says itu means chozru, and we're going to bring a brisa that says clearly like that it calls it itu, but it means chozru. The Tanya, we see in the brisa, soiches umnim, the itu is a balabais, and they tricked the balabais, it didn't do the work. Oi balabais ito somo, he cancelled them from doing the work. Ein lohem zeh elo teroimes. They don't have on each other only teroimes, and it says over here clearly itu, and you can see that it's between the balabais and the poyalim. The medvorim amruim, when they said that you could only have teroimes become b'tovei amomenis shelo yolchu, that they haven't gone to the job. Aval olchu, if they went to the job, if the olchu chamarim, the people who are many to deliver the items, and there's no wheat to take from place to place, and he told them, go to there and pick up the tvua and bring it here, and there's no tvua over there. He sent poyalim to work, and you can't do work in the field because it's full of water, so you can't do the work. He has to pay them full wages. Continues a brisa. The workers that these donkeys, the people who load the donkeys, at the end of the day, they didn't have to take wheat because there was no wheat to take. So therefore, they get paid less because it's less of a work to go back empty, less stress on the animals, less schlepping onto the animals, and therefore you don't pay them full mishalem. You pay them how much you'd be willing to do to get less and not do the work. And the poyalim, at the end of the day, they didn't have to do work. So let's say they'd get £100 a day. So you estimate how much of the work worth it for them not to do the work but get paid less. So let's say it's £50. You have to pay them £50. Continue the brisa and says, "B'medvar mamurim." When did we say all this? That they haven't started melacha. They didn't start working. If they started the work, you estimate how much they did already the work. And it's somewhere over here by a kabbalah. I mean, they're getting paid for the job, not for the day. What's the case? They agreed on a price to cut the field of all the wheat for 2 selah. Let me just have a look. Okay, so they go a field to cut for 2 sloim. They cut half, and they left half of the field. Beged larig, a cloak to sew, b'shnei sloim, to make, let's say, a garment, and they agreed on 2 selah, but they only did half of it. The other half they haven't finished. We estimate how much they did already. And now, now if the price went up, and to finish off the work, even if you have to pay 6 dinar, each seller is 4 dinar, so that means a seller and a half, and now they cancel the middle. So, no seller, you pay them a seller of half the work they did, or we tell them if you wanted to sloim, you have to finish your job. Being seller, if what the job to finish is worth a seller, no seller, you have to give them a seller and half the job they did already, because they agreed on 2 sloim for the full job. They did half to finish as a seller, so you give them a seller. The Gemara is going to later on ask, that's pshita, it's obvious. Rav Doisa no. Shomim lo masha osid la'asois. Sorry, before the shitta was that you look at the value of what they've done already, and even if what they've done is worth now 6, you still only pay them 1 seller. And if it's a seller, you pay them a seller, and that's the Gemara is going to ask pshita. Now, Rav Doisa says differently. Rav Doisa shomim loim masha osid la'asois. We look not on what they've done already. We look on what is they left. If to finish off you have to pay extra, no shekel, they only get half a seller, that's a shekel, because I have to pay to finish off the job 6 zuz, a seller and a half, and I agreed to do the whole job for 2 sloim, but now to finish the job I need still to pay a seller and a half, so they only get a shekel. Or they could finish a job that they agreed on, and I'll obviously pay them the full amount. Being seller, if to finish off the job is only cost a seller and they did half the job, no seller, he gives them half the wages because they did half the job, seller. When is all this said? Something that if I don't do it today, I could do it tomorrow, I could do it next week. Something that's if I don't do it today, I'm going to lose. I could pay other workers expensive, and they're going to have to pay for these other workers. Or he could trick them. Like it said in the Mishnah, just over here, we're going to explain how you trick them. How do you do that? I agreed with you on a seller. Bo, come finish a job that we agreed on. And I'll give you double. And then when they finish the work, you only pay them what you agreed at the beginning, only 1 seller. How much could you get other workers? How expensive could you pay other workers that they're going to have to pay? So the Gemara, until 40 or 50 zuz, and that's quite a big amount. Remember, when is this all this said? When there's no other workers to get in a normal price, you have to pay other workers expensive, or you trick them themselves. There's lots of workers who are willing to finish a job or do the job in full. And the workers who cancelled said to Balabais, go take these workers, what do you need me? The Balabais could only be upset with them because they cancelled, but he has someone else to do the job, so therefore he could only be upset, but he doesn't have any tviyah, momonistika tviyah. We learned this brayso in front of Rav. The brayso we learned before, and it said that in a case where they went to get the produce that they were meant to schlep, and it was not there, so they get paid fully. And so Rav said, Chabibi Omar, my uncle Rab Chia said, if it would be me, I wouldn't give them ela kapor bottle. I would only give them like a poor bottle, because we're going to see in a second. Later on, we explained also kippur bottle, but at this stage where it says no salim is chor mishol, it means the full wages. So Rav says in the name of Rab Chia, I would only give them kippur bottle. That means how much they'd be willing to not to do the job and get paid less. And you're saying you pay them fully? Frag the Gemara, obvious question. Straight away afterwards in the brayso, what did it say? It's not the same someone who has to schlep heavy loads to someone who has an empty load, or someone who has to sit at home, or someone who works in the field, and therefore you pay them less. So that's exactly like Rav said. Why is Rav asking on the brayso? So the Gemara, loisi mur kamei. They never finished. They only told them this part of the brayso, that no sin is chor misholem, and they never finished the next part, and therefore he asked on the brayso. But really, if you what the brayso continues, it fits in exactly like Rav Chia. The Rav said him, Ikadamri, some people learn simur kamei. They did bring the whole brayso in front of Rav, and they told him that you don't pay him fully, you only pay him kipoil bottle. And this is what Rav answered them. Chabibi, or my uncle Rab Chia, who's my beloved one, he said, if it would be me, lo yahavin leiklal, I wouldn't give them nothing. Vatamad per bottle, and you say you should give them like a per bottle. Said the Gemara, Elo Kashiach, L'chorha war, Rab Chia is arguing on a Bryce, and the Bryce says he gave them per bottle, and Rab Chia is saying you don't give them anything. Said the Gemara, Loi Kashia, Hod Desari La'ar Meduruta, Hod Loi Sari La'ar Meduruta, depends. If you showed them the workers a job from the night before, so then it's the workers' responsibility to realize that it might rain or it might be not possible to do the job, and if there's no work to be done, he doesn't have to pay them anything. But if he didn't show them the job, they trust Balabais, it's Balabais' responsibility to see if they could do the work or not. Ki Hodom Rava, similar to like Rava said, a high man doga agirli rifke, someone who rented workers to dig a trench, Vasa Mitra, and came rain, Umalia filled it up and you can't dig when it's full of water. So it depends. If you showed them the job before, say that the Perlim, because they had to realize that it's a risky job, there might be no work. But if you didn't show them the job before, so it's responsible of the Balabais to make sure that you could do the work. Say that the Balabais, it's a loss of the Balabais, local pearl bottle. He has to pay them like a pearl bottle because it's his fault that there's no work to be done. Shkoyach. Today is a celebration, 76 years for the state of Israel. We know from the history that 70 years in that time of period is a long time. We could see that between Churban Bayis Rishon and Bayis Sheni there was 70 years. A person lives 70 years, is already an old man. He lives 70, 80 years. It's a period, in the nature, 7 is a nature. All cultures have 7 days a week. 7 times 10 is 70. So in that type of thing, it's about time. Israel has to renew itself from new and start itself from fresh and start being more united and connected with the people and more shalom the achva between everyone. And then we could have another 70 years of blessing and happiness. And we should be zoicha for geula akroiva b'me'era b'yameinu amen.